And a feature within the show that profiles the work of small businesses. This week, Liabo Setho, working with Camera Technician Sibusiso Mthembu, visits two businesses owned by entrepreneurs who live with disabilities. They share their experiences of running a business, and that is despite their limitations. Let's take a look.
Individuals with disabilities make up 15% of the South African population, and it is estimated that 8 out of 10 people living with disabilities are unemployed.
My name is Liabo Setho with Your Money on Market Sense. Venturing into business is by no means easy, and as it is, the world has the tendency to look past people whose bodies don't look or work like theirs. Entrepreneurship has offered Elias Khatebe and Sikelelwa Msijana, who are both disabled, a liberating option.
Elias Khatebe is known around his community for his outstanding work. He works from the Sharp Center in Mufolo, Soweto. He's in the business of welding and manufacturing steel security gates on order. Elias contracted polio when he was just a year old, but his disability did not stop him from being his own boss.
It's a long time I've been doing this job, so I don't know any job besides the steel. So that's why I like, because I can do anything. What you want to, I must do, or table, or chair, or gate, or what you want, I must do. Most of the time they're known about making them gates and butler proving.
Elias says this business is competitive. He competes with those who are able-bodied in the same industry, and most times the disability gets in the way of competing. With more than 20 years of experience, Elias still relies on word of mouth to get customers because he is immobile and cannot market himself like his competitors. Elias says he feels that entrepreneurs with disabilities like himself do not receive adequate support, particularly from government.
Because I can't move where I must move. Sometimes I must go upstairs there. There's a steps, there's no lift. It's a problem for me. So get somebody to help me to go there. Now, even that man who get him, he will look for something after you take you there up there. That's only the problem.
In Orlando West, Sikelelwa Msijana runs the deaf empowerment firm. Her business helps other deaf people to find employment. 12 years ago, her life took a dramatic turn after a TB treatment damaged her auditory nerves, leaving her deaf. She lost her job as a high-flying company executive, and she had to reset her life and learn to live as a differently abled person. And so, a journey to entrepreneurship began.
Tell me about the journey of starting a business. It's difficult enough for able-bodied people or people who are not deaf. It must have been a bit more difficult for you. Tell us about the journey.
Certainly, Liabo, starting a business is no child's play. It's difficult for anyone. It was even more difficult for me. I started going out looking for assistance and funding as to how I could start my business. The opportunities were very slim. Government has made opportunities available, but accessing them is still a big challenge. So after a long search, I came into contact with the South African Breweries Foundation. They were looking for entrepreneurs with disabilities. They had a program where they want to support entrepreneurs with disabilities. I made my application to them. I was invited to pitch. I made my pitch, and they shared my vision. And they gave me the funding to start my business.
Tell me about how the world of work is accepting candidates who are deaf.
Still a big challenge. Employer fears are big out there. Fear of the unknown. People look at people with disabilities and think, how on earth are we going to accommodate them? But it's our responsibility as people working in this disability sector to empower and teach employers about these things.
We asked Sikelelwa to also be this week's contributing expert and share her 5 tips for disabled people who are aspiring entrepreneurs. Interpreting for her is Lindy Wedladla.
First and foremost, you need to research your market. Be sure that the service that you want to provide is what is needed by the community and the market out there. That way you will provide a service that is needed by your intended clients. Tip number 2, be true to your passion and what you are passionate about. Why are you starting the business? Don't allow yourself to be dissuaded by other factors that do not relate to your business. We as people with disabilities come from very impoverished backgrounds, and sometimes we lose focus because we see money in other things that were not what we intended to do. So stay focused to your passion and be true to yourself. Tip number 3, empower yourself. Make sure you gain knowledge. Make sure you understand the market. Go out there and do research. Find people who will help you and mentor you. Find out where your products are, how you can be able to access your market. Make sure you have enough knowledge to help you to succeed.
Tip number 4.
Tip number 4, perseverance. Starting a business is not easy for anyone, even for people without disabilities. But if you know what you want and want to achieve, you need to persevere. Stay strong. Be true to yourself. Work hard. Work on that goal day in and day out. Persevere, and with that you will see success. The last tip, believe in yourself. You can have any knowledge after you've done your research and acquired all the knowledge that will help you succeed, but you need to believe in yourself. Believe in the product you are offering. Believe in your capabilities. Don't doubt yourself because you're a person with a disability. You can do this. You have the ability. So believe in yourself and go out there and achieve your dreams.
Your Money on Market Sense would like to hear your views about this week's feature. Please do contact us on Setho, LE, at sabc.co.za. I'm also available on Facebook and on Twitter under Liabo Setho.
Of course, that feature comes to you every Friday, and we try to share as many SME stories. But now let's speak just about that. Being a business person and trying to start a business, being an entrepreneur, but sadly with a disability. Ntsoaki Phali, who is the founder of Beyond Ability Talent Solution, joins me in studio this afternoon. Ntsoaki, thank you so much for your time. The difficulties, as you can sense, they are clearly real, but is it something that we perhaps have shown out enough so that people are made aware of this and perhaps give opportunity to those with disabilities?
I thank you for having me, and greetings to your viewers. You know, it's really a sad situation in South Africa currently because of we have many beautiful policies that protect and promote the rights of persons with disabilities. However, the challenge is that most of those policies are not properly translated to the men on the street. Like, for instance, Mr. Khadebe, that we've just seen in the insert right now, who's a steel manufacturer or who's a gate manufacturer. For instance, is he aware that we have a BBB Act in South Africa that recognizes him as a designated group that must be supported through various initiatives by most companies in South Africa? Is he aware that he can knock on any door?
How do you make them aware of that then?
It speaks to you know, most disability services organizations, and also, I mean, every South African who's an influencer, to try and speak to such a need. And also the problems that we're having as corporates as South Africa, and also the problems that we're having as government, the problems that we're having as a South African, must speak to that narrative, must speak to translating those policies such that the men on the street can relate to them and unpack them and understand them. Because I mean, as you can imagine, I mean, for instance, I mean, the BBB Act is a huge document with all sorts of jargon and ambiguity, but Mr. Khadebe, who must benefit from that policy, is not benefiting purely because of they don't understand and they're not even aware that there's such. And all we ever hear about where the BBB Act is concerned is on tendering. I mean, the one subject that is actually more affluent, or that is heard of the most in the media and everywhere else is tendering. And obviously tendering as well is also embedded within the BBB Act. So we really need to have, you know, a concerted concerted effort around ensuring that, you know, persons with disabilities, you know, understand their rights. Especially if you're an employee with a disability, or whether you're an entrepreneur with a disability, says that you're emancipated.
Access
and you
to those markets then is also something that a lot of them will look at and say, but, you know, I am, for instance, a gate manufacturer, and yet this industry just seems to be dominated by people, you know, of a particular kind or of a particular sort. How do we ensure that they are able to play a fair role in that industry despite their disability, because it doesn't necessarily take away from the quality of their work?
Yeah, you are right. The current regime does not allow, the playing fields are not fair.
Yeah.
They're not leveled. You can imagine Mr. Khatebe has to go and he's a wheelchair user.
Yeah.
You know, the very building that he has to access in order to strike that deal or to negotiate a form part of tendering for that deal is not accessible. How fair can fair be in such an environment? You have Sisi Gelelwa, who owns a deaf empowerment firm. She has to go and pitch a deal. But how is she going to pitch a deal whereas she has no budget for a sign language interpreter? But at the same time, is she also conversant that invoice for sign language interpreter, she can claim that invoice from that very same potential client, and that client can claim that invoice from the B spend.
Sure.
So they gain maybe enterprise and supply development points from the B scorecard. So it's information is key in this instance, and I feel that we are still far back, you know, as a society, in terms of ensuring that all these beautiful legislations that must support us, or that must support persons with disabilities, are translated. For me, that's my biggest issue at the moment.
Let's talk solutions then, very quickly. I'm not a big fan of just saying what can government do, right?
You're right.
Now it is a case of what can government do, but what can the private sector also do to ensure that, you know, you do create an enabling environment?
I mean, it speaks to the companies, the policies that companies are setting for themselves with regards to ensuring the emancipation of persons with disabilities. So, for instance, currently in the country, companies must speak more towards, you know, implementing policies that speaks to the emancipation of persons with disabilities. Whether you're an employee with a disability, or whether you're an entrepreneur with a disability, or a supplier with a disability for that company. But at the same time, also in our case as well, another thing that we've also done as well is that we've started a 6-week business mentorship program that speaks to attracting persons with disabilities who want to go into entrepreneurship. But at the same time, also, you know, unpacking or supporting them with the building blocks of a business, such that they're compliant, they're investable, and they're also fundable. So for me, I feel that policy is key. You know, but at the same time, once this policy, look into implementing that policy and ensuring that it cascades down or trickles down to the end user.
Yeah, making sure that you implement it as well yourselves, right, as that company as well.
Indeed.
Ntsoaki, I really, really appreciate your time. I really hope we've created some sort of awareness here with regards to this, and that we're able to employ it a whole lot better and do a whole lot more. Ntsoaki Phali is the founder of Beyond Ability Talent Solution. Well, that's a wrap from us for now. Nompumelelo Sizeba will be back with more news at the top of the hour, and that wraps it up from Market Sense. Your weather details up next. It's goodbye from me.